accompanied by the disturbed Southern Belle.
Hello.
And in this episode, we will be continuing our Outlaws from Around the World series, and we'll be continuing with Japan. This episode is going to be focused on Ishikawa Goemon, or Ishikawa Goemon.
Aha.
So, he is a legendary Japanese outlaw that is said to have stolen from the rich and gave to the poor. So, Robin Hood.
There you go.
His legend has lived on and in folklore today, and he is often depicted as having highly exaggerated ninja skills.
Well, alright.
And for those that don't know, I don't know who wouldn't know this, but a ninja or shinobi was a spy or infiltrator that was used in pre-modern Japan.
Right.
So, as for the guy's biography, there's not a lot of information in regards to his life, but this has led to most of his background and origins being mostly just speculation.
Right.
His first appearance seems to have come from a 1642 biography of Hideyoshi, who was a samurai and considered to be the second great unifier of Japan. In this depiction, he is referred to simply as a thief, and as his legend grew, he was also attributed to several exploits, including a supposed assassination attempt against the Oda clan warlord Oda Nobunaga. The Oda clan was a Japanese samurai family who were an important political force in the unification of Japan during the 16th century.
Ah, so very strong family, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
So, yeah.
So, according to one telling of Goemon's background, he was born as Sanada Kuronoshin to a samurai family that was in service to the Miyoshi clan. In 1573, his father was killed. However, in some versions, it was both of his parents by the men of the Ashikaga shogunate, which was the feudal military government of the time.
I wouldn't be surprised if that didn't happen, because stuff like that happened a lot back then. It really did.
So, Sanada is said to have sworn his revenge and have trained in the arts of Iga ninjutsu, which was the style used by the shinobi or ninjas.
Right.
He was forced to flee from his training, however, when his sensei found out of his affair with one of the mistresses at the school.
Oh, my word. I wonder if that was his girlfriend or wife. But maybe not. It could have just been they weren't supposed to have any interactions with him, kind of thing.
That sounds about right.
Probably.
A professional thing and all that.
They were probably there like maids and servers
Yeah.
and stuff, and they probably weren't supposed to do anything.
Anyways, oh crap! I've said Sonata a while ago, didn't I?
Yeah.
It's Sedana.
Sedana. Well, it's okay.
I apologize. Anyways, Sedana is said to have taken a parting gift from his sensei by way of stealing his prized sword.
Oh, well, I know it, right? I mean, he's really wanting to rub it in a little bit.
Oh, absolutely. It seems like. Others claim that his name was actually Gorokizu, and they said to have come from the Kawachi province. He then moved to the Kansai region and formed a gang of thieves and bandits, after changing his name to Ishikawa Goemon. He is then said to have stolen from the rich feudal lords, merchants, and clerics, and then giving a portion of his loot to the poor. Another version says that he was attributed to a failed attempt at poisoning Nobunaga's life, after which he was forced to become a thief when his ninja networks were broken up.
Right.
So, it's all over the place.
Yeah, any of that I guess could be true. I mean, who knows?
So, as for his execution, there are actually several accounts and a few different versions.
Right.
The first is that Goemon tried to assassinate Hideyoshi to avenge the death of his wife, Otaki, whatever, and the capture of his son, Gobe. He was said to have then snuck into the Fushimi castle and entered Hideyoshi's room, but was thwarted when he knocked a bell from the table while entering. The noise then awakened the nearby guards, and he was captured.
Not a very good ninja.
Oh, absolutely not, no.
Oh, well.
He was then said to be sentenced to death alongside his son. The execution was to happen by placing them into an iron cauldron, where they would then be boiled to death.
Oh, God.
a fairly common execution.
That was not uncommon, but it is
not just in
brutal.
Japan, but
Just
a few different places.
Right, I've definitely heard of it in a few places, but it's brutal to think of. Ugh.
We also actually covered that in an earlier episode.
Right, execution methods and things,
Yeah.
right?
Anyways, Goemon is said to have saved his son in this version by holding his head above the water. His son was then forgiven and released. In the second version, Goemon wanted to kill Hideyoshi because he believed he was a despot, which is a form of government in which a single entity rules with absolute power.
Right.
When he entered the room of Hideyoshi, he was detected by a mystical incense burner.
Oh, of course.
He was captured and executed on October 8th alongside his whole family by again being boiled alive.
Oh, wow.
At first, Goemon tried to save his son by holding him above the water, but then plunged the child to the bottom of the cauldron, holding him there, so that he could end his suffering as quickly as possible.
Oh, gosh.
He is then said to have lifted the body of his son high above his head in defiance of his enemies, until he eventually succumbed to pain and shock and sank into the pot.
Oh, gosh.
The dates of his execution vary as well, with some claiming it happened on October 8th, while other records say that it happened sometime during the summer. Before his death, he wrote a famous farewell poem. In this poem, he says that no matter what, thieves would always exist, which
That's
is true.
Very true.
In Dayunin Temple in Kyoto, I'm sure I pronounced that wrong, there is a tombstone dedicated to him. Today, there's also a large iron kettle-shaped bathtub that is known as a Gomonboro, which translates to Goemon's bath.
That's kind of creepy when you think what it's, related to.
Not just creepy, but kind of... It's either really... not disrespectful or really disrespectful.
I know, it's kind of a gray area, but I mean, I guess
it's one or the other. There is no in between here.
I'm assuming that they don't mean it as a disrespect, though. I'm gonna assume that it was probably something like to carry his name on, so to speak, and in remembrance
on what his actual
maybe,
history is and all that.
Maybe, but he's supposed to be known as like a Robin Hood character through Japanese folklore, so I'm gonna assume it's something like that, like a way of carrying his name on, his legacy, I guess.
So, in media, he is often depicted as either a young, slender ninja or a powerfully built, hulking Japanese bandit, which would explain why he wasn't that great a ninja, apparently.
Well, that's true.
He was also the subject of several pre-World War II Japanese films. In some, he is depicted as the villain, and in some, the tragic antagonist.
Right.
Even though there's little known about his actual life, there are a lot of discrepancies in his history. He's definitely a very interesting outlaw, and it's rare that you hear about a Robin Hood type criminal.
It is true. I mean, you don't hear about a lot of Robin Hood type outlaws. I mean, you do occasionally, like we did with Pancho Villa. He's supposed to did stuff like that too, but that's not common. I mean,
really
most of the time it's just for them or their, like you said, their families or their gang. That's what they're robbing for. And I'm not saying they never helped anybody, but that's not generally what they're going out to do it for.
No, it's not. But anyways, it would make sense though, because or it would make sense as to how rare these things are, because they were very much needed back then.
True.
So
it was a different time then too, especially back, like, what was this, like 1600s? So yeah, that would have been a ridiculously different time in Japan as opposed to now, and the type of things they would have to endure, I guess, because of the government and just everything, all these big families and stuff, that were very powerful. They could pretty much just do what they wanted to, just like the Pancho Villa thing with the hacienda owners. They could do whatever they wanted, and so they did. I mean, it's not funny, but it's true. So, yeah, they would have definitely needed some Robin Hood types to stand up for the people like that, because they were really getting brutalized.
Yeah, they were. That's
it's true.
Not an overstatement. Anyways, we hope you enjoyed this episode and this just segment of our series this week. If there are any well-known or even lesser-known criminals that you think deserve
to be
advertised, added to this series, or just word spread about them, please let us know in the comments down below. And don't forget to check out our YouTube exclusive series, where currently we are talking about the most notorious serial killers throughout history.
Mm-hmm.
There are some very disgusting people
There
on
are.
that list.
There are.
And more to come.
Very much so. Our next one is one of the tippy top ones for me, just because he is a child killer. But you'll have to check out our next episode to hear it, and ugh.
Yeah. Don't forget to like, follow, and subscribe, and don't forget to
Stay disturbed.